Hey guys, what's up? It's Mazuma Boxing, and I'm back with another video. Alright guys, since there isn't much to talk about in the boxing community as of now, other than like people's remarks on certain topics, I've decided to do like my own fantasy fights between Tito Trinidad, who's one of my personal favorite fighters, and the current 147-pound fighters today. And I've matched Tito Trinidad up against these 147-pound fighters because that was the weight division in which Tito Trinidad's legacy was made. If you guys don't really know much about Tito Trinidad, he's a three-weight world champion. You know, he started in the welterweight division, conquered the welterweight division after beating Maurice Blocker, who had been world champion at that division at the time. He got the IBF welterweight championship. Defeated Oscar De La Hoya, although a lot of people say it was controversial. He was able to defeat Oscar De La Hoya, undefeated Oscar De La Hoya, and took his WBC lineal title. And then moved up to 154, got his belts there, and he had a couple fights there, but then he moved up to face William Joppy at 160 pounds, and defeated William Joppy for the WBA middleweight title. Shortly after, he lost to Bernard Hopkins, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Came back, beat Mayorga, and then he stepped in the ring with Winky Wright, who's also a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And came back for a money move to fight Roy Jones Jr., who's also one of the all-time greats. So he has 45 fights, 3 losses, 42 wins with, I believe, like 37 knockouts, which is pretty impressive. The man had a lot of power, and that was very unusual for somebody of his physique. He wasn't like the biggest person. The man had strong legs, but like his upper body was like real. He was like real lanky in the upper body portion of himself, and had a lot of power. The man is an underrated fighter, and he had the longest title reign in welterweight history. I believe so. Yeah, he's either first or second to Armstrong, but I think he has the longest title reign in welterweight history. Now, I believe he's one of the all-time greats when it comes to the welterweight division, and just like an all-time great in general. I typically like to talk about him because I'm really proud of this guy. You know, we're both Puerto Rican, so that's somebody that I look up to on a personal level. So when I do these comparisons between Tito Trinidad and these 147-pound fighters, I'll try my best to not be biased. So I'm just gonna take a random pick. These are top 147-pound fighters. So I'm talking about like either world champions or one of the top ranked people in the welterweight division. So we're gonna start off with Shawn Porter. You know, Shawn Porter is like he's a pretty big welterweight. He's not that tall compared to Tito Trinidad. Tito Trinidad is like a 6 footer, 11, I think like 5'11", with like a 6.5 foot reach. Um, and Shawn Porter's like a really small guy. He's probably like 5'6", 5'7", if I had to guess, just based on like his face-offs with different opponents. And Shawn Porter's a in-your-face, up close and personal kind of fighter, always coming forward, and will keep trying to push you around, and he likes to go to the body a lot. He's a body snatcher, and likes to get rid of his opponents in the quickest way possible. And knowing Tito Trinidad and what he's done to his opponents at his time, I think he would do pretty well against Shawn Porter. Like if you watch William Joppy had been one of the ones to come up close and personal and try to bang toe to toe with him. Um, I remember Kevin Lucien. Um, he had tried to come forward and go toe to toe with Tito Trinidad. And did I say William Joppy? I think, yeah, I said William Joppy tried to come forward. Kevin Lucien tried to come forward. Who else? Obakar had also tried to come forward. Mamadou Thiam, who was a bigger and stronger opponent, they had all try to come forward and try to bully Tito Trinidad. That's most likely what Shawn Porter is gonna do because, like, out of all the fights I've seen Shawn Porter fight the same. And I've seen interviews, I'm not sure from who, but they said that his style. No, actually, Shawn Porter had admitted this. He said that his style has not changed that much from the amateurs to the pros. So that goes to show that I'm not saying that he's one dimensional because I'm not sure of that. But from what I've seen, this is like his that style is his preference. So I'm guessing that's what he would take against Tito Trinidad. And knowing that, if he was to come forward with Tito Trinidad and try to bang it out with him, I don't think it would go so good for Shawn Porter. He has shown to get buzzed by Keith Thurman, and he's backed up from Kell Brook at some points with the 1-2, and knowing Tito Trinidad's vicious left hook, and just knowing the power he has in both hands, I don't think it would go so well for Shawn Porter. On the other hand, however, I'm not sure if well, I am sure actually, based off of what I've seen, that the fighters that usually come forward and try to bully Tito Trinidad usually likes to move around a little bit and just try to. He's real patient. And he try to find to put his punches in places, and he was successful most of the time that he had decided to do this, and knowing Tito as well as I do, I really think that he would really beat the brakes off Shawn Porter. That's just my personal opinion, though. Like, I'm not saying that this will happen for sure because anything could happen in boxing, like I always say. So I don't want to hear the comments talking about, oh man, Shawn Porter will fucking destroy Tito. You know, like it's all opinionated. As long as you can explain it intelligently, I can't be mad at you. Moving on. So when I said I think that he'll stop Shawn Porter in the later rounds because Shawn Porter is a really tough fighter. So moving on, who's next? Earl Spence Jr. Now that's a really tough fight because Tito Trinidad has shown throughout his career to struggle with boxers, and Earl Spence is the epitome of a skilled boxer. The man's a southpaw, and he likes to dig to the body, and he likes to finish his opponents as fast as he can. Real patient fighter, and really well composed. And knowing how Tito Trinidad is, I think he will struggle with Trinidad at some points. And I believe Tito Trinidad will struggle with Earl Spence at some points as well. Now, being that this is like a real early stage in Earl Spence's career, um, I'm not too sure of what his weaknesses really are. I don't know his vulnerable, like what he's vulnerable. I don't like his vulnerabilities. I'm not sure what they are. So it's like too early to say, but I think just based off of like Tito Trinidad's experience and what he's been through in the ring, I think he has a slight advantage. And this is just because Tito Trinidad's career is said and done. So just based off of what I've seen from Earl Spence and what I've seen from Tito Trinidad, I've seen more from Tito. So I'm going to have to go with Tito Trinidad. Now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Earl Spence will find a way to defeat Tito Trinidad. He has been knocked down before. But he has great conditioning, so he recovers pretty fast, just like how the likes of Mayweather and all the other fighters that have great conditioning, Tim Bradley and whatsoever. And so I would have to give the slight advantage to Tito Trinidad in this case. I'm not sure how he would win because I don't think that. I mean, we don't know if Earl Spence has a shaky chin. It hasn't been like confirmed yet whether he has a sturdy chin or not, because he hasn't really faced opposition that are very fierce power punchers. So just based off of that, I just got Tito Trinidad edging that fight. Moving on, I have let's go with Floyd Mayweather. Although he's retired, like I said before, this is gonna be a pretty quick synopsis. Now, what I've seen a lot more from Floyd Mayweather than Tito Trinidad. Definitely, Floyd Mayweather's the skilled boxer, and he's the more skilled boxer. He's the superior fighter all around the board, except power. But a lot of Floyd Mayweather's fighters that he had faced have had the edge in power. So just like all around the board, Floyd Mayweather has this. Just knowing that Tito Trinidad has gotten exposed at times by skilled boxers like De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, and Winky Wright. So it's obvious that Mayweather has the advantage like all around the board, and it wouldn't be too crazy to say that Mayweather would defeat him. Actually, I think we could come to a consensus. Shit, damn, I'm fucking up today. That Floyd will defeat Tito Trinidad by unanimous decision. Moving on, Keith Thurman. Now this would be an exciting fucking fight, man. This would be a great fight. Keith Thurman, he is the smaller man, smaller reach, just like the smaller person in general. Has a pretty big frame, pretty solid welterweight, and I don't know, man. Keith Thurman has shown to get hurt in a couple of his fights. He has shown to get hurt by the Collazo. Seemed like he got on his bike against Shawn Porter with a body shot. So I'm not sure. I think he has a pretty weak body, and Tito Trinidad has been able to stop people with body shots. Like I seen him do it against Larry Barnes. I seen him do it against like Hugo. I forgot his name. He's a big ass welterweight though. Hugo something. He stopped him with a body shot. So the power in his body shots are definitely there. There's no question about that. So just based off of that, seeing that Keith Thurman doesn't have the most solid body, I think that Tito Trinidad will try to execute by attacking that body. And I could definitely see Tito Trinidad actually making Keith Thurman take a knee. I don't believe Keith Thurman has ever faced anybody like Tito Trinidad with his power. But yeah. The same can't be said about Tito Trinidad though, because Tito Trinidad has faced some big punchers. Like Maurice Blocker was one kind of he was a puncher for his size. The boy Hugo, he was a puncher as well. Larry Barnes had been a puncher, and De La Hoya is a puncher as well. Like a lot of people don't give him credit for that, but the man could crack as well. Um, so yeah, I just think like Tito Trinidad will find a way to hurt Keith Thurman, and I think it will just go downhill from there because Tito Trinidad was a really great finisher, one of the greatest finishers I've ever seen. Once he puts the pedal to the metal, it's pretty much a wrap after that. I think like the only person I could think of that actually out of his got out of his way, but ended up getting knocked out anyway was Fernando Vargas. So yeah, who else? I mean, we can't even talk about Kell Brook because the motherfucker, we don't even know if he in welterweight anymore. But Kell Brook will get washed. Like, dude, I just think he'll get washed. Like, the man hasn't really been battle tested except for Shawn Porter. Even though Shawn Porter was the smaller person, like Tito Trinidad was taller, lankier in terms of just physique and reach, and I think that he's the way harder puncher than Shawn Porter. That's just my opinion as well. And I think that although Kell Brook is a pretty good boxer, I think that fight would be similar to David Reed versus Tito Trinidad. David Reed was a gifted boxer, gave Tito some trouble in the beginning, even dropped Tito, but it will end up just being a absolute landslide after Tito makes his adjustments. Um, Man, I don't even know what else, man. This is all opinionated. I wouldn't be mad if anybody said that Tito lost to all the welterweight champions. Oh yeah, there's Danny Garcia. I heard this debate on Fact King's YouTube channel, and he was actually defending that Danny Garcia would beat him. Now, I strongly disagree with this. I believe that I don't think Danny Garcia has all the tools to beat Tito Trinidad. Yeah, he is capable of dropping Tito Trinidad. There was allegations with his loaded gloves or whatever, but that had been tossed to the side after Nassim Richardson had said that his gloves were not loaded, and that had been the person that noticed his hand wraps. And yeah, Danny Garcia just doesn't have the tools for me. I think Tito Trinidad will stop Danny Garcia just based on how his face is really sensitive and how it busts up from people who are lighter punchers than Tito Trinidad. So I believe he'll get stopped. But that's just me. I would like to see what other people think about this topic. I hope somebody gets a hold of this video and provides their own opinion so I could see if I can be enlightened by those opinions. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is Mazuma Boxing, and we out of here.